Welcome to the Contrarians. Tonight is a new series. We're going to try to fix an album. Tonight's victim is Rush Power Windows. We have a big panel. Can they fix it? Let's do it. Welcome to the Contrarians, and ladies and gentlemen, look at this panel. We've got Gary. He is in his best Neil Peart look. We've got Phil. We've got West Coast Dave. We've got Rich. We've got a new concept for this month. What it is, fix an album. So you take an album that you're not particularly fond of. Evidently, this whole panel is not a big fan of this record, and resequence it. What?
I am.
Well,
I like it. I don't love it. No.
I'm gonna go on a tangent.
No, I really like it. I'm gonna leave it there.
I think this is a show within a show.
Rich doesn't like it.
Rich doesn't like it.
Grant doesn't like it.
I don't love
it. I think I'll go into what I think. Anyway, we're taking an album that we're not particularly fond of. This is what is written. And we resequence it or swap tracks to make it stronger. You can take tracks from other albums. You can take solo albums, whatever you want, whatever it takes to make this album better. Now, Rush Power Windows. I've talked about this before. I think that this is, I like Power Windows a lot better now than I did when it came out. When it came out, don't forget, I was a kid that when Hemispheres came out, that was my gateway drug. 2112, that stuff, not Power Windows. So when I heard Power Windows when it came out, I was gung-ho. Everything, moving pictures. I was gung-ho on Signals. I love Signals. Love Grace Under Pressure. But man, when this record came out, this was quite a change. Now, my stance on it now, at the time, I didn't think that the songs were particularly great. I thought the production is very overblown, so 80s that it was obnoxious. Now I'm a little not as harsh on it. I think that the songs are there. If we could clear out all the debris, the Todd Evans would have totally disagree with me. Get rid of all that sheen, all that gloss, and get down to it. I think we've got a Rush album that's as good as anything else.
But Grant, don't you like that sheen when we have it on bands like Tears for Fears?
Yes, because Tears for Fears is from that era. Rush came in an era way different than what Power Windows is, and it's hard to make that transition. But even Tears for Fears doesn't have that sheen. If I listen to Tears for Fears, you listen to you listen to The Hurting. Damn it, you're lucky I had this right here. It doesn't have the sheen like Power Windows is very. It's a tough listen.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay.
But here we've got the panel. This is enough for me ranting at the beginning. I normally don't rant at the beginning, but I'm ranting today. Anyway, we're gonna go around. I'm gonna start with Gary. We're gonna go with Phil, then West Coast Dave and Rich. I want to hear what they can do to make this album better. All right, Gary, you are up. Let us give it to me. I'm ready.
I'm kind of wanting to hold off. I'll be one of the later ones that goes.
Well, I'm going to throw Phil out then.
All right.
Phil, damn it, go ahead. We want to hear, what can you do to this record to make it great?
Well, one thing I cannot do is I cannot get in touch with Steven Wilson to remaster it. Has he remastered it?
No.
Because he's remastered everything.
I think I
don't think he's touched any of the Rush albums, though.
No. Okay.
It's the remixing.
The remastering's not going to help it very much because it's already been remastered, even though that's another tangent. I don't think that the remasters are all that great. I've got here
the Rush remasters, obviously.
I think the original Trails from 2002 was the only one that was reworked. Other was remastered, but sound basically the same.
Yeah, you're better off. If you ever follow Steve Hoffman's site, if you ever know anything about the Rush CDs, if you want the best sounding Rush CDs, Though I think haven't they been out like several times reissued, remastered? They had the 90s remasters and then they came out again with something else. I don't have those. But
Yeah,
the
I think what
original
I've got
Anthem,
here
the
is the
original
90s remaster, I think, what I've got
yeah,
here.
the original Anthem CDs, not the US CDs. The
No, this is
Canadian
Anthem.
CDs
Anthem.
sound great.
Anthem.
Yeah.
Anthem. So anyway, let me just say a few quick thoughts on the album for me, which is that
Sure.
just like you said, Grant, my gateway was first and foremost 2112. That's where I started. And, I was already a huge fan of the metal stuff, so like Dream Theater and all that. And then I kind of went backwards and I got into Rush and Yes and Genesis. And, getting into Rush at that time, well, for me, getting into Rush in the early noughties, I'm a child of the 90s. So you gradually learn, you sort of hear from here and there and from, the press and the media and the critics and the fans, you hear that the good stuff is in the 70s, and then, don't touch the stuff in the 80s, like not even moving pictures. Then eventually you do touch permanent waves and moving pictures. And then you hear that, okay, that's great stuff, but then don't go into the more synth poppy stuff or the stuff where they were listening to the Police, because that is really bad. That's like where they just sold out, and don't go there. Eventually I went there, and I remember hearing Power Windows for the first time and thinking, yeah, okay, this is really like a far cry from, and that's a nice play on words because they have a song called Far Cry. It's a far cry from Hemispheres, not entirely from Permanent Waves or Moving Pictures, but it is generally a far cry from what I learned about Rush. But hearing it for the first time, I felt that I was hearing Rush. I was hearing the spirit of Rush, the essence of Rush, but in a totally different packaging. Like the sound was totally different, obviously, as we said already. You have Alex Lifeson playing these solos that are filled with the sheen that you mentioned earlier at some point, and which are very covered in reverb. I adore his sound on this album. I love his solos. They are so emotional and full of melody, and they breathe. His solos really breathe. I really like that about it. But initially hearing the album, I thought, there are moments where I really hear the real original Rush, but in different packaging. Almost 20 years later, I like the album even more. I do concur that the sound is this kind of overblown 80s thing. It was here we are in the 80s, let's do this thing that everyone's doing, let's overdo it.
Well, Phil, in the 80s, everybody was on board. Everything was overblown. It wasn't just Rush, it was the Rolling Stones.
The 80s is where consumer culture ignited, over consumerism, commercial culture ignited in everything, the movies as well, So yeah, they became obviously much more, let's say, commercial, accessible, but they still maintained that edge that makes Rush what they were from almost the very beginning, at least let's say from Fly By Night, for me at least, but again in a different packaging.
What edge are you talking about?
Sorry?
What edge? Tell me, I want to know more about what is the edge that you're hearing?
First of all, the progressiveness.
Okay.
This album has loads of layers of emotion. It's got many odd time signatures. It's got many different interchanging passages in every song.
Okay.
They have so many layers of sounds and instruments, and it's just three guys. And that's one of the things that it's just three guys doing so much stuff. It still amazes me almost as much as Hemispheres might amaze me. It just feels different. So when I hear a song, and I'm very lucky to have seen Rush twice in the 2010s, and I heard Big Money, Manhattan Project, Marathon, and Territories, and they sounded there's so much dynamism in them. Neil Peart's drumming, yes, he's playing more electronic percussions and more lush sounds, but there is still that kind of dynamic playing, and the instrumental sections are as proggy and as powerful and challenging as anything before. It's just that it sounds again different than what we were used to. Now, I've said more or less what I have to say about the album, why and how much I like it. I was actually going to come onto this panel thinking, you know what? I'm going to come here just to defend Power Windows for what it is as it is. But listening to it again, I thought, okay, maybe we could make some minor changes, and I'll let the other guys here do some maybe more major changes. So I think that the album is very front-loaded. I think that the best tunes, if I could choose two tunes that are maybe the best, are Manhattan Project and Marathon. And those are already like 3 and 4. Big Money, yeah, when it starts, it's like, welcome to the 80s, right? But you get to that instrumental section and it's really powerful. It really carries a punch. So I think that Big Money is a good opening, and I keep that as an opening, but I don't want to have an album that's completely front-loaded, so I would then maybe continue, instead of Grand Designs, I would continue with Emotion Detector, which is much more mellow, but has, again, a punchy chorus. So it kind of keeps a little bit of the momentum from the beginning. And I think that Marathon has also a similar chorus to it. So I would go first Big Money, Emotion Detector, Marathon. Then I would go with Grand Designs, which is originally the second song on the album. And then I would go with what I think is my favorite tune, the Manhattan Project, which again is like, it has a great groove to it. It's got a lot of energy. If you just kind of go with that kind of 80s feeling of the synths, basically the synths, that's what I think annoys most of the fans. Personally, I don't have a problem. And I'm not even a fan of a lot of synthwave. I love Tears for Fears, but I don't listen too much to them. I don't even listen to bands like Duran or any of these like landmark 80s bands,
Well, I would say Rio, though, has a much better production quality than Power Windows.
These were bands of the 80s. They knew better how to do that production and sound than a band that started in the 70s and transitioned to the 80s, I think. Maybe that's one theory.
I think there are different rules for different bands during different eras.
Yeah, that's a good point. We could maybe bring that up later on. So, to recap, Big Money, Emotion Detector, Marathon, Grand Designs, Manhattan Project. Then I would go with what is normally the 5th tune. I would go with Territories, then Middletown Dreams, and I would remove Mystic Rhythms, which I do think is a little bit lackluster. It's a little bit bland. I don't find the other tunes bland at all. For me, this album is a solid 8 out of 10. But Mystic Rhythms, they could do without it. And instead of that, I would put Between the Wheels, which I think is the song that closes Grace Under Pressure, right? So that's basically how I would fix this album in terms of the track listing and removing one song and replacing it with another. So I don't have too much to say.
Any comments, anybody? I feel like this type of show, I need to turn it over to the panel after one of the panel members makes a presentation to get what is everyone's thoughts? What do you think of this?
Should I maybe repeat my track listing?
Between the Wheels is amazing. I love that song.
And I think it kind of fits a little bit. And also, I was thinking Mystic Rhythms is really makes a bit too much of a dip.
I don't know. I think you got to have Mystic Rhythms on there.
No, I would get rid of it. Yeah.
As would I.
Good.
All right. I'd get rid of the whole damn thing, but that's okay. I'm the minority. You know what I do? I'd call up Terry Brown. Terry, we're working on this album. I think we're going to call it Power Windows. I'd like to see what you could do with it. And we kind of went off on a tangent. Can you come back in and bring us back in?
Mystic Rhythms works a little better live than it does on the studio record, but by the time you get there,
all right, cool. Phil, I appreciate it. Hey, Rush is all what a person likes with Rush. Well, of course, you said you came in on like Hemispheres and all that stuff. 2112. I don't know, Phil. You're complicated because it doesn't make sense. Because a lot of people, no. I appreciate what you're bringing to the table, but with Rush, when we've done shows on Rush, and it usually is the situation is where you come in is what you like from Rush. So we've had younger people come on and they come in on like maybe the 90s stuff, or someone will come in on the 80s stuff and they'll go, "Oh, that's my Rush." They'll look at it and then they'll say, "Well, I've listened to the 70s stuff and I don't get it. That stuff is horrible."
Yeah.
Rush with a big career, it all depends upon where you come in.
I've said it before that for me, Power Windows and even Hold Your Fire, for what it is and what it represents as a totality, it's much better than Presto or Roll the Bones, which I find have a few good tunes, but generally are rather bland.
I can't disagree with that. Because this is the thing that how I look. Rush went through a period where their songwriting was absolutely on fire. And then they got to a point.
Here, they are great songwriters.
The songwriter's good. I wish I could just rip apart all that extra shit that's on top of it. And then eventually they got, God, people are just going to go burn crosses in my yard and all this. I'm on a tangent today. But then they ended up writing these songs that weren't, it's like they forgot how to write songs, because they wrote some of the greatest stuff during that whole 70s, early 80s stuff. Even Power Windows, the songs on Power Windows are phenomenal. It's just the production that I have a problem with. But eventually you'd listen to songs and, all right, throw out a song off of, I don't know, take your pick. Anything in the 90s, I don't know if I can remember it. It doesn't pop into my head like Spirit of the Radio or Entre Nous, or take your pick of anything in that classic era. It's like, just throw out something, see if it sticks. I am on a tangent today, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't burn a cross in my yard because I'm worked up today. Anyway, Phil, I get what you're saying. Let's throw it over to, well, who wants to, West Coast Dave, are you ready to go?
Yep.
Freaking let's tear this bitch up. Let's go.
Let's do it. Okay. Power Windows, 1985, produced by Peter Collins and Rush, with a very glossy 80s keyboard sheen. Synthesizer programming by Andee Richards and Jim Burgess. I'm going to blame them for a lot of the problems on this album.
I'm going to blame them. Like I blame Tony Platt for Cheap Trick Standing on the Edge. I like it.
There you go. So it also says additional keys by Andee Richards. So I'm thinking that guy contributed to most of the problems that I have with the album. So let's get rid of Peter Collins. Okay, we're getting Terry Brown back. We're pulling in some producer like Brian Eno to help with the keyboard flourishes, more akin to like Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. So it sounds more atmospheric and spooky, not all bright and drowning in 80s production styles.
All right, so far I'm in.
Yeah. It's actually the first CD I ever got. And this is the cover. Change it, get rid of it. Nobody wants that on a t-shirt or anything. Bad cover. Here's my suggestion for the cover. Make it kind of like physical graffiti, but use a more modern, brutalist architecture style. And then the character from the original album cover maybe is seen as a very small face in one of the windows. So changing the cover already. Now, big money. We're keeping the song, changing the production, so right away, big hollow artificial percussion hit instantly makes the album sound dated. Right when that song starts, it goes, I don't like the artificial drum sounds on the album, just get rid of them all. On the whole album.
All right.
Only acoustic drums, sorry, Neil. So just trust me on that one. Then we got lame keyboard horn stabs. We got to ditch those for some more subtle key washes like signals. All the fake neato sound effects on the album, and especially on Big Money, need to go. So you have these little, like growls and little hits and bangs and little keyboard. And just no, there's just way too much of that stuff. So the rest of the song, the lyrics and the instruments can stay on Big Money. There is a weird key intro to the bridge that needs rethinking too, where he says sometimes pushing people around, where it's just kind of no. And then on the end, they jammed on that song a lot live. And so they should have jammed out the end longer. I like the song, though. Grand Designs starts out with this key intro. Ding, bye. That's gone. Start it with guitar hits instead, like old school. Make it heavy, I like this song, though, mostly. During the second verse, they get back to stripped down power trio sound, and it sounds great. It sounds like old Rush. When the key intro is played again in the chorus, it sounds better, but it needs a different patch and it should be lowered down in the mix somewhat. The key stabs in the chorus are just unnecessary. There's an excellent solo. I gotta say, all licensed playing, at least bass on this album, are just top notch. You're gonna keep all that. The vocals at the end, no, rethink that, do something else. Manhattan Project, next song. The verses are too empty and wimpy when the vocals come in. Remember a time? No. Okay, put some guitar behind that or something. Like Alex can be supplying some textured arpeggios there, not keys. There's so many times on this album when there's no guitar at all, like during the verses, to leave space, which I kind of get, but it doesn't really usually work. I mean, I know why they tried to do that. So there's a chorus effect on the guitar in Manhattan Project that during the chorus version of the chorus part of the song, I think it's just a little overdone. The rest of the song can stay as I like the strings that are on the song at the end. That production flourish can stay. Geddy's bass has a really good tone on this album too. Once again, the guitar solo at the end of that song could be longer, but anytime Alex is playing a solo, I pretty much would always want it to go on for longer. So
100%.
yeah.
I
So
agree.
now we got Marathon Marathon. So the song starts out with a perfect Rush riff structure, but there's reedy synth pads and they undercut the beginning, just drop them. There's a great chorus, bring the keys down and let some power chords ring out though. There needs to be more heavy sounding power chords on this album. That's one of the things that they're missing. Lyrics are all good on this record. I'm not complaining about anything there. I think the songwriting is really good too. The middle section of Marathon ends with an incredibly searing guitar solo. That's well done. We're keeping that. The chorus singing at the end and the chiming keyboard stabs make it sound too cheesy though. Okay, now we're on Territories. Everything is going great until a very obnoxious keyboard horn blast comes in at 43 seconds. Okay, get rid of that. No. Better People, Better Food, Better Beer part. That has a bad Easternish sounding key motif underneath that they need to cut. During the chorus, some electronic drum hits need to be eliminated. There are some sections where you can't hear any guitar for quite a while. That could use rearranging, keep everything else. Middletown Dreams, to me, does not need fixing. It's the best song on the album. I even like the sequenced key pattern on the third verse. It could come down a little bit in the mix. And once again, I think power chords could replace some of the synth chords in the mix. The bass playing at the end of that song is unbelievable, by the way. Go back and check that out. Okay, Emotion Detector. Bye. That song's out. Replace it with The Enemy Within, Part 1 of Fear from Grace Under Pressure. The production's not the same, but the style of the song fits in with the others on Power Windows. It's up-tempo, and it creates good movement for the back half of the album. Mystic Rhythms, bye. Dump the song, replace it with a re-recorded Mission from Hold Your Fire. However, Mission needs help too. So we're going to dump the keys at the beginning of Mission, replace it with acoustic Alex arpeggios and chords, make the guitar sound heavier, put more guitar in the chorus, take down some of the overwhelming keyboard cheese. There's a theme that I keep coming back to here. Why do Alex's guitar stabs sound so wimpy? There's too many effects on the guitar. This song has great bones, but it needs to be re-envisioned to make the song more powerful. There's some xylophone sounds and an instrumental passage on Mission that need to be dumped. Starting at about 4:15, the whole song comes together beautifully and then has just an absolutely breathtaking guitar solo to close it out. It should be longer, and the guitar solo should not fade out so fast. And that's it. That's my reimagined power.
The guitars, dump the Strat, get the damn Les Paul back out.
Agreed. Yep. You got it. Thicken it up.
Thicken it up.
Give me some power chords.
Hey, let the Fix play with Strats. Let you two play with the Strat, damn it. Alex Lifeson, bring out the Gibson.
I say, it would have helped this album, I think.
Maybe.
Just give it more old school rock and roll charm and peel away all those 80s production flourishes.
But then again, in the 80s, even though when this came out, I heard it and I went, Jesus Christ, what happened? It was perfectly normal in that whole era. No one thought twice about any of this.
It wasn't normal for Rush, though.
No, because they were a 70s band.
It was a step
look
too
at
far.
Heart, same way. 70s band, and then they're thrown into the 80s. They're playing all this pop, synthetic. Whether you like those songs, whatever, but it's not Heart.
How
You know what I'm
great
saying.
is every band for how long, though? How many albums are you going to keep going in a certain direction, still progressing, still changing your sound and still being good until you finally get to that album where you just kind of moved into a place that not everybody's going to like anymore, you know?
I think the
It's
worst of all
tough.
was Scorpions.
Yeah, they have that Eye to Eye album. I hear what you're saying.
It was a
Yeah.
disaster.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah,
You
they
know-
changed too much in the wrong direction. That's kind of what I'm talking about. But the
Yeah.
whole reason we're sitting here talking about Rush is because they changed their sound so much.
Mhm.
And I give them a lot of credit for that, for trying to update themselves. It's just sometimes it worked a lot better than others. I do think the songwriting on Power Windows is totally solid.
I do
Most of
too.
it. Most of it.
Mhm.
I meant to look when I was researching. Did this album sell particularly well? I mean,
Big Money was a big hit on MTV. I remember that.
You
But
can admit
I
that-
don't know if it really charted.
I think that it might have made the top 10. It might have been a top 10 album in the US.
I'm looking it up.
It's probably the last big selling one.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't. It probably didn't sell half as much as Moving Pictures, but I mean, it was
No.
probably. I wonder how popular was it at the time, or it kind of hasn't lasted. But
Well,
Yeah.
Dave, you looking that up? All right. We'll report back in. We have our chief reporter out checking this out for these stats. I like what you brought to the table, Dave. I'll be quite honest. Of course,
awesome.
Yeah.
you're speaking my language. All right, let's turn it over to Rich to get his thoughts on it.
Okay,
Rich, take it away.
Well, for one, this is my second to the least favorite Rush album.
Uh-oh.
That's why I suggest,
Okay.
that's why I suggested Power Windows. And
Okay.
it was my least favorite Rush album until Vapor Trails.
Vapor Trails is the number one least favorite.
Wow.
To me, that has like one good song on it, and the rest is just, I don't know. It's like it bangs you on the head at the beginning, and it just doesn't stop. There's like no light and shade on it. It's all kind of
That's because of the overmastering.
yeah. It just sound. I don't know. Even the remixed version doesn't really help it that much. I don't think. But anyhow,
No, it was the recording was ruined when it was digital distortion. You can't get rid of it.
You guys
So-
want to hear the stats on Power Windows real
Yes,
quick?
go ahead before Rich starts. Yes, sir.
Number 2 in Canada, 9 in the United Kingdom, 10 in the United States, and it's platinum in the US.
Wow.
Were there any singles? Oh, Big,
Big
Money,
Money
and
and
Mystic
Mystic
Rhythms were
Rhythms,
singles. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how those. Do you know how if they charted at all, Dave?
Let me check it out. Albums.
I can't imagine that they really did.
Mystic Rhythms probably didn't do that well, but I bet Big Money did pretty well.
I didn't buy it.
Big Money got to number 45 on Billboard Hot 100 and number
Okay.
4 on the mainstream rock chart.
So singles charted. It didn't even break the top 40. All right. So
Mystic Rhythms charted at number 21 on the US mainstream rock chart. That's
but
all
it
you
didn't chart on the American.
know.
Top
It doesn't
40.
say on
It didn't
Wikipedia.
chart.
So.
Anyway, there you go. All right, Rich, take it away.
Okay, well, I said, this was my least favorite album of theirs until Vapor Trails. And my reason, I have several reasons. One, I hated the cover. I just think that cover is just awful. And hated the band photos, which, I mean, that's the, and just hated the overall look and sound of the album. I thought someone else mentioned it was kind of like a step too far from Rush. I felt like they stopped sounding and looking like a rock band, and they just turned into
The Police.
something alien. And I think Peter Collins really wanted to change their sound. I guess he didn't really like the way the 70s album sounded. And I just thought it was too much. It was just going too far, straying to me too hard from their original hard rock roots. And yeah, and I'm not really, there's like 2 songs on here that after all these years, I still can't remember how they go. And that's Emotion Detector and Middletown Dreams. After having this album for all these years, I still can't recall how they go. I just know that when I listened to them, I didn't like them, and I don't want to go back to try to like them. I just would rather just not listen to them. But I do think there's 3 good songs on it, and I'm going to keep those 3 songs and then replace the rest of the tracks. So, and I'm calling my album Powerballs.
I just call it Big Balls.
Yeah, well, there's my little album.
You can use the cover for Hold Your Fire and just make it Powerballs.
Yeah, use the Hold Your Fire album cover.
Yeah. So start off, I'm taking off Big Money and replacing it with Force 10. I was never really a huge fan of Big Money. I think Force 10 is a much better song. And then the rest of side 1 I'm keeping as is. Grand Designs, Manhattan Project, and Marathon. I like all 3 of those songs a lot, especially Marathon. Marathon has really grown on me a lot the last 5 years. And so I really like that song. But the side 2, I'm completely replacing. Instead of starting off with Territories, I'm starting off with Lock and Key from Hold Your Fire. Then I'm going to Time Stand Still from Hold Your Fire. I Mover after that. And at first, I was going to put Between the Wheels as the last song, but it just sounds so different than everything else. I feel like it would feel to me out of place on this album. So I decided to replace it with Available Light, which is more in, sounding like the rest of the album. And I think it's Available Light's a really good closing track. So that's all I really have to say about that. So
Well,
yeah.
There's one solo on here that, and I wish I could remember what it is, somewhere lumped in the middle, that sounds a lot like the Between the Wheels solo. It might have been Middletown Dreams or one of those. I should have written it down.
Yeah. Well, and I started off with Rush, and again, 2112, but I wasn't really blown away by them at first. It wasn't until I heard Fly By Night that I became a fan. And then I remember getting Farewell to the King for Christmas back in 1977. And, just hearing that for the first time was just such a, I wish I could take back that moment, freeze this moment just a little bit longer. And I was a big fan of Hemispheres too, especially side 2. But yeah, like I said, I just feel like they lost their rock edge and they were no longer a rock band. And yeah. So that's my take.
Any thoughts from the panel on that?
So what's your take on Hold Your Fire then?
I liked Hold Your Fire a little bit better. To me, I thought it sounded more lush. It had more of a full sound on it, even though Alex Lifeson's guitar is pretty much buried on that. I think the songs I liked on Hold Your Fire, I liked better than the ones on Power Windows. So, but like I said, the lushness of it kind of reminds me a little bit of Signals, even though it doesn't sound like Signals. And I don't hate the cover for Hold Your Fire. I like the cover for Hold Your Fire. And there's no band photos on it. So you couldn't see how
stupid they look.
Yeah. I think on the cassette version, or maybe the CD, I don't know. I think there are pictures of them on that, but on the original vinyl there wasn't. So, yeah.
Well, you guys don't like the Miami Vice look for Alex? Come on, man, he looks hot.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I wonder if the fact
Come on, Crockett and Tubbs, bro.
it looks like Miami Vice. Power Windows was recorded fully digitally. Do you think that had anything to do with this?
Almost certainly.
Yeah. And
Because it doesn't sound very warm. That's part of the problem. It doesn't sound very warm and welcoming. It's very cold sounding.
Right. I agree. I think it's a very cold, kind of mechanical sound, and to me, Hold Your Fire was just more of it's just more warm and inviting.
They left the window open.
Yeah.
It's too cold.
To me, they just took the wrong ideas farther in the wrong direction with what you call it, Hold Your Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like more keyboards, less guitar, more wimpy sounding.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Dave, you sound like one of those old school Rush guys.
All the way, man. I like some stuff all throughout their catalog. Now, I mean, I don't really want to rip on Rush
No,
at all, but
there
I
are
mean, I
eras
did
that
kind
you
of tear this
prefer.
album apart. But
Right.
Counterparts is great.
I was a big fan of Roll the Bones when it first came out. I remember hearing the album premiere of it on the radio and, hearing this interview with Alex and Getty. And I didn't realize Alex was so funny. I mean, he had me cracking up during that interview. And that tour was the only time I saw them live. I saw them twice on the Roll the Bones tour. So, and I think I think the production, the sound of Roll the Bones is kind of crappy, but I think there's some really strong songs off it. Like Bravado,
Yeah.
and the instrument, Where's My Thing, and
Dreamline.
And Heresy, I like The Big Wheel. Ghost of a Chance, I think, is a great song. I like You Bet Your Life. Neurotica is one of my least favorite songs of theirs. So I mean that they could have taken that off, I think, and had a better album. But
All right.
Anywho,
Let's throw it over to Gary. Gary, what's your thoughts? Let's hear it.
All right. I didn't read the fine print. I didn't make any plan
What
to
fine
fix
print?
the album. I just wrote a review of the album.
That's fine. We'll take it.
But to fix it, let's just spur of the moment. Let's scrap half the lame songs and just put Camera Eye on there. And that should patch up pretty much most of my problems because Camera Eye is great. But for the longest time, I slammed this album when I was first getting into Rush, and it wasn't until about like my third pass through of the entire catalog that I started to kind of appreciate what it was. It was 85. Peter Collins produced it. I'm not the biggest fan of those first two. What that Peter Collins did, he also came back and did Counterparts and Test for Echoes. I think those 90s ones are much better, and I can't stand Hold Your Fire. I don't know that I'll ever get through to liking that one like I have with this one a little bit. For Big Money, first song, I think it's a rough start. It's like the whole album, it just crashes into you, and it's like the keyboards and all these effects are trying to choke you out. But then you make it to the end of the song, and it's like you're still hanging on. You made it through, you're alive, and on to the next song. Also, do you think, what I noticed when I was listening to it this morning, that outro riff from Big Money, does it sound like Don't Fear the Reaper to any of y'all? Like, that repeated, the way the chords strikes.
Dave, you're muted.
maybe.
now my dogs were barking. To me, the end of that Big Money sounds like when they would jam Closer to the Heart out live. It's very, so the chords are very similar. It's just like a D and a G,
Yeah, I never thought about the Don't Fear the Reaper, but you're kind of right. It does sound a little bit like that.
I'll have to think about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fade outs on this album too. Is there any song on here that doesn't have the mid 80s fade out?
Good point.
I don't know.
We go into Grand Designs. I think Grand Designs is a decent second song. It's kind of starts to come together what they were going for. It's not amazing, but I think it's more driving and a little more genuine. I love one of the most ridiculous keyboard sounds like Dave was talking about. There's a keyboard sound in Grand Designs. It sounds like you're warping in like a Nintendo game. It's like that. And it's like, what?
Yeah, but that was cool in 1985.
It wasn't, though. That's the thing.
Damn it, Dave, it was cool.
And then we move into Manhattan Project. I hear the intro and I just start panicking. I just freak out like, oh no, here we go again.
Because
But
of
then once
the
it
atomic bomb
actually
or what?
it kicks off and it gets going, and I think it's pretty good. I think Alex is a hero on this song. I love his playing on it. It kind of a little bit during some of his solos and melodic things he does. It has a slight permanent waves edge, which is always good. Anytime you get
good.
that on a Rush album, genius. Marathon, I've always liked Marathon. I think this song is beautiful. At this point in the album, I'm kind of starting to turn around, and I think the song's great. Getty's bass part is just, it's awesome. I think he sings really well. Great Alex Lifeson solo. I think the keyboards really work here. And what Dave was saying, I love how the keyboards build up at the end, and then you get that cheesy choir part.
Yeah.
I think it's an awesome way to end the song if you're going to do it. Probably my favorite song on the record is Marathon.
Yeah, it's mine too.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
But
It's a good song.
still, with it being the best song, there's really no songs on here that I would like really want to see Rush play at a live show. It kind of has that quality. The album's okay, but none of
Live,
these.
they sound much better.
Yeah,
Much better.
they totally do, but it kind of goes in the problem of they have such a dense catalog with so much great material.
Yeah.
And moving on to Territories, I think it has enough to like about it. It's definitely kind of, it clashes with itself with the pacing, and it's just weird to really describe. But the bass part at the very end is just awesome. And how Geddy does like pretty much like the only kind of darker approach he takes to singing is on that end part, and I love the end part of that. Then Middletown Dreams, like Rich was saying, I can't remember how this one goes a lot of times, but I made notes on it. I think the keyboards and the guitars blend kind of nicely, and it's a pretty sounding song. But that's all the notes I have. Like, it's just kind
It's
of.
all
I gotta
right.
find somebody that likes Middletown Dreams and make a Middletown Dreams fan club.
I don't think it's the worst on here, but it just kind of is there and then gone. And I'm like, all right. And then we get to Emotion Detector. It's a catchy enough song, but it's uplifting and cheesy. But it seems at this point like the album's kind of starting to repeat itself. I think this song is really derivative of Marathon and Manhattan Project with the choruses and a lot of the way the things are delivered. And our final song, track number 8, Mystic Rhythms. I'm not crazy about how this song is sung. It's fine. I don't think it's a great closer. The keyboards don't really work for me on this one. But like I said, I think it's much better live. I think it was the Clockwork Angels live album. I heard that they played this, one or the other. They played this live on one of those albums. I think it was Clockwork Angels. Maybe it was R30, but live, I thought it was a lot better. And then just kind of my overall notes from the album, I would give it a 6 out of 10, which is a lot higher than I would have given it initially. And just this morning, getting ready for the show, I listened to it twice, and there was a time when I didn't think I was capable of that. And I enjoyed myself. I had fun listening to it.
Gentlemen, he actually enjoyed the record. I'll be darned.
But what I don't enjoy is the cover. This is terrible. Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
It just, I'd have to really think about it, but is that the worst cover they've ever done? They're not really known for bad covers, really.
I'm not a huge fan of Counterparts.
Yeah, that cover is kind of silly. In a way.
Roll the Bones has an awful cover as well.
Oh no,
The cover's better than the album.
I like the cover for Roll of Bones. I think I like that. You know, the color of it, like, you know, that it's brown and it has all those dice and skulls on it. I think I just bought that again on vinyl. I think the cover is really cool.
The dice are really cool on the cover. I love the dice and the skulls. Roll the Bones cover is all right.
Yeah.
I think it's a hell of a lot better than this, whatever is going on here.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out something. If everyone knows how the songs sound on Power Windows, what if we take Big Money and Marathon and Manhattan Project that appear on A Show of Hands? Which versions are better? I personally think those tracks played live, the way they sound on A Show of Hands, I think they are much better played live than what they come off in the studio.
Absolutely.
I'll agree with that
and
too.
On Marathon, on the Clockwork Angels tour, I think they were playing Marathon there, and there's a moment in the lyrics I could somehow recall where they had one moment's high, like a streak of lightning, blood. Somewhere at that point there would be a big blast on the stage, and like, whoa, and that was like just giving additional like energy and making the crowd go with the fists up in the air and everything.
That song was so good that Iron Maiden ripped it off for the Long Distance Runner. And then
Really?
No, I don't think so. Just lyrically, it's
I
the
have to
same
check
thing.
that. Because that one's based on a book and a film as well.
I just mean the spirit of it with how like the guys running the marathon and
All right,
the
okay.
songs are really similar. My last few notes that I have, Sometimes when I'm in the mood for that, in the mood, there I go, yeah. When I'm feeling like listening to some cheesy 80s schlock, this album and the Meatloaf Blind Before I Stop record are my go-tos. That is just...
Gee whiz, Rush and Meatloaf in the same sentence.
My God, I don't think that's ever been mentioned before.
Two of
In
my
the same
favorites.
sentence ever.
Yeah.
I think with this album, the intros are kind of deceptive. Like, you'll hear the first few seconds and be like, what the hell? What is this? Get me away from this. If you have like a big Rush playlist and someone comes on from Power Windows, you got to get through that intro. But if you sit out and you hear what the song has to offer, you'll usually come out the other side being like, okay, that was kind of dynamic. That was kind of interesting. And then lastly, my last note is, this is not a beer album. Not every album has to be.
This is an album where you raise a glass and toast with your best buds. No.
You don't
bubble
want beer
tea.
with this album. I feel like if I threw down some beers and listened to this, I would see more clearly and I would just be angry about the whole thing. If you got beer, Farewell to Kings, Permanent Waves,
Yeah.
any of that. There you go.
Oh no, come on.
2112. Come on.
Those are albums for like, those are intellectual albums. You need to be drinking some fine red wine.
Yeah, that kind of. And I think if you're going to try to, and there's really no reason to, you don't have to like Power Windows, but if you're going to try to go back into Rush's catalog and get an appreciation for Power Windows, you've got to really get into Signals, and then you got to get comfortable with Presto. If you can get those two, then you might have a better appreciation.
Signals is
for Power
brilliant.
Windows.
I love Signals. Yeah. I think
I
that's,
slept
I
on
like
for a
Signals
long
better
time.
than Moving Pictures.
I kind of do too. Yeah, no, I kind of do too.
Love Signals.
Like
Love
Martin
it.
Popoff as well.
That's insane.
Yeah, I think it's Martin Popoff's favorite Rush album.
I think Signals flows a lot better than Moving Pictures.
Yeah.
And the album previous to this, I worship Grace Under Pressure. I love
Yeah,
that album.
the critics didn't really give it much of a. It kind of got panned, and I think Grace Under Pressure is the last great Rush album.
Because there's some people that draw the line, and you were making the joke earlier, like when Terry Brown was out, that was the end of Rush.
No.
But I think Grace Under Pressure is phenomenal. That is just a guitar player's album, and I love a lot of the songs on there. It's brilliant.
I just think it's like an extension of Signals, pretty much.
To
It's
me-
not that much difference.
To me, it's kind of like their Genesis Abacad album, where they ditched their old sound and tried to go for a new one. I didn't like that album very much when I first heard it, but then it really grew on me. And I actually love side 2 of Grace Under Pressure. I think all 4 songs are great. And I like The Enemy Within. I think After Image is a really good song.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, it's about the death of a friend of theirs, I think Robbie Wheel. And I actually picked up a book called After Image, I was like, oh, this is the name of a Rush song. I think I'll read the book. And the book was really good. I never liked Distant Early Warning very much. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. But Red Sector A is a song I didn't like for a while, but that's another one that's grown on me. That's a record that really, when I first heard it, I was like, what is this? But then, I kind of listened to it more and developed a much better appreciation for it. So,
Well, there you go.
Red Sector 8 grew on me over time too, and Between the Wheels is one of their best songs.
Very true.
Yeah.
The R30 live version is amazing.
Well, kids, I keep going back to Meatloaf and Rush. If Gary, if you threw a little Paula Abdul on there, you might have a party.
I forget what year that album came out, but it is just like, it is the most 80s album I've maybe ever heard. I'm a huge Meatloaf fan. I love a lot of that Meatloaf stuff.
God, I've never even heard that record. I'd never even heard of it.
and what's the name of it again?
Blind Before I Stop. It
Okay.
was from somewhere in the mid 80s.
Okay, I'll have to look at it.
Similarly to this album, it kind of has like the ridiculous song titles. Like you got to look at the song titles on this and kind of know what you're in for, I think. And that album's the same way.
All right. Cool. All right, there you have it. I don't really know what to say. I've already went on a tirade earlier.
Yeah.
There'll be a Meatloaf fan in the comments section that'll be with me on
You think
this.
that probably
Maybe following a tirade, you need to go on a riot.
maybe a quiet riot. Damn it! And I had COVID. Was supposed to go see Quiet Riot on Saturday. I'm all bummed out because I had COVID. I probably still have COVID.
Oh, I'm going to go see Steven Wilson right now.
Are you really?
Ooh.
Nice.
I've seen him on this
Indeed.
tour. I saw him on this tour. It's fantastic.
I'm sitting in the 4th row, too. I can't wait.
But we had
Excellent
VIP passes for Quiet Riot to hang out.
No,
Damn it.
well, there's
My
no
buddies
original
got
members
to go.
left. Who are you hanging out
No,
with?
Rudy Sarzo's there.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Shit, I could go see Rudy.
Rudy's a star.
Rudy's who come on, the life Rudy has had. Come on.
Rudy's cool, too. I've heard
Rudy's
him on
cool.
the radio before.
But anyway, let's wrap this dog up. Gentlemen, I appreciate everyone's take. We do want to hear from you down below, your take on this. And don't burn a cross in my yard. I just got rid of the last one. The grass grew in. It was great. Don't burn another cross in my yard. But no, power windows is fine. It's just jarring every time I put it on. So I want to thank the panel, Gary. I want to thank Phil, West Coast Dave, and of course, Rich. We do want to hear from you. If you'd like to be on these panels, probably not after this show, but if you'd like to be on these panels, we'd love to have you. We have a Ko-fi. Buy us a pint or a cup of coffee. We also have a Patreon if you'd like to join that. Shows go up early. Blah-de-da, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. But
Blah, blah.
let us know what you think down below. Give us your track listing. Let us know anything about Power Windows or hell, any Rush album. I don't care. All right. We will see you on the next one. Gentlemen, keep it clean and we will reconvene later.
Yes.
Gary,
Cheers,
Phil,
fellas.
nice to meet you.
Oh,
Brian,
Yeah,
Rich,
you guys too.
take it easy, dude.
You guys
Gary,
too.
West Coast Dave, Gary, Rich, Gary, West Coast Dave. See you.